All right. Cool. I believe I'm streaming. I haven't streamed in the last 8 years, so hopefully this is working. Basically, I thought I would just jump on stream and fix this bug. I thought I had already found and fixed this bug, but I must have broken it again, fixing something else, which is something that can happen when you're working on things like this. So yeah, I guess I'll start by explaining the bug. So right now I have DuckBuddy in velocity mode at 50%. And over here on the kick, I've got it 50%, negative 11.4, and I've just manually set the velocity to not maximum, a little bit below that. And so it's working as intended, but as soon as I increase the RM above 100%, it pushes down below the shape, which is not really the intended behavior. On top of that, when I add smoothing, the smoothing function also involves a sort of fade from the beginning, and that's starting right at negative infinity, and it should be starting like up here where the velocity is setting the game reduction to. So that's a problem. Whoa, what did I just click there? What did I just click there? So, what we're going to do is open it up and try to fix it together. I haven't worked on DuckBuddy for a few weeks now because I've just been preparing to release it. So this is going to be interesting. But let's fire up Max and see what we can do. And again, I haven't streamed in like 8 years. So let me know in the chat if the stream is fucked or whatever. Okay. Let's get our Max console up on the other screen and let's open up DuckBuddy here. So we'll unfreeze it and then we'll go into patching mode, and I'll probably explain everything that I'm doing as I go. This can be like a little mini Max tutorial, I guess. So, I've got everything sort of pretty well laid out here so you can see what's happening in which section. So this is where the velocity sensitivity is happening, where it, changes and whatever according to the notes that come in. And that is being output here to this send object called depth. And that goes in the brains of the operation here. It goes in here along with the state of the velocity, so whether it's on or off and whatnot. So the problem lies within this gen patch. So I'm just going to hold control and double click that to open it up, and we can see more shit. What I might do actually is go back to this view on this box and just lock that so we can see what happens. Oh, actually, I want to, yeah, it's tricky to be able to see what's happening as you're working on it. Let's just have a look here. So, yeah, duck buggy, exactly. I really thought there'd be no bugs. I really tried. Okay, so this is where the RM signal comes in, and this is where the RM smoothing setting is being set here in this inlet here. And this section here is what creates that sort of pre-fade. And what I might do is I need a way to like look at what's happening at different points, like a tie-in point. So I'll just take this output here. And how many outputs do we have? 4. So I'll just make this output 5 and just call it like test. And that's going to add an outlet to our brains here. And if I go into my scope window, I'll also steal a new scope here. I'm just going to copy that. And I'll just paste it in here. Probably give that a background color so we can see what's happening. And we need to send that a click. And we'll send it the signal from output 5. So now we can see what's happening on a scope wherever we tie this in, right? So for example, if I go like this, okay, we've got a 1 basically. I guess I should explain on the scope, the range of the scope is almost 0 to 1. It's almost 0 so that we get this little like area at the bottom. But I'm not dealing with negative numbers. So if the line is all the way at the top like that, that means that we're receiving a 1 out of this outlet, and that makes sense. So if I increase the smoothing, now we have a bit of a fade, which is great. That's what we should expect from here. So what's happening here is that the RM depth, this is clipped from 0 to 1. So it doesn't really make sense to me. Like if I push the RM depth up, it should be clipping from 0 to 1 there, but it's not. Like if I just take a look at this, yeah. Is that the right depth? Hang on a minute. Yeah, okay. Oh, I guess it's clipping from 0 to 1. But 0 is down here. It needs to clip to the depth. I don't know that I can change the amount of clipping in this gen patch. Because ideally I would have this clip update and say clip from 1 to, 0.5, which is wherever the depth is, wherever the velocity is set the depth. That's only going to clip to the very bottom. I don't think I can. Oh, this is going to be a bit harder to fix than I thought. Yeah, really interesting stream, Slynk. Maybe once I finish this coffee, my brain will start to activate. Yeah, it's pretty complicated, Spencer. This is just the first part of it. Now, do we need this? Do we need this to be clipping at from 0 to 1? Because yeah, I think we do. Okay, I might just need to Google it. I mean, that's what I do. I just Google the word cycling 74 and then whatever I'm having trouble with, and there's usually someone in the forums. I'm not seeing anything immediately. Now, okay, let's do a test here. If I multiply the signal by 0.5, obviously that's going to give us like half the, but yeah, that's not quite what we want. Oh, I could use a scale instead of a clip, because a scale I can, oh no, I can't change the scale settings of the scale object dynamically. I need something that I can change dynamically. Yeah, live debugging. So clip inside of a gen patch, I don't think you can change the upper and lower bounds by the inlet, but maybe you can. It just, there's only one inlet and it says input to clamp. So, you know, you just set the ranges and that's it. The clip object outside of a gen patch, like I've got 3 inlets. I can set the minimum, I can set the maximum, and then the number to be clipped. So inside of a gen patch where everything's running at audio rate, I can't do that. So ideally I want everything to happen inside of the gen patch so that it's the most CPU efficient, because anything that you do with audio is going to be the most efficient if it's done inside of a gen patch. That's why everything happens inside here. It's the brains of the whole operation. So, yeah, this is a tricky one. I guess I never did fix this. Or I just assumed it was fixed, because I thought I'd fixed this bug and I thought I'd found it and fixed it, but I never did. Okay, well, we can start by fixing so this is the little curve that happened in the front of the whole situation. So that should really be happening. Let's just go back to 100%, for example. Yeah, so this should be starting here and then sort of happening there, which means this needs to be like scaled by the depth. So here, if the velocity state is on, then we are using, which way does that go actually? Velocity state is 0 when it's off and 1 when it's on. And so if true, which would be 1, so if velocity is on, we're using the raw depth, and the raw depth is a value from 0 to 1. So why are we using the raw depth again? I can't remember. It's been a couple of weeks since I worked on this. And then the actual depth is a value. It's also a value from 0 to 1, but it also involves the velocity, right? So value if false. Yeah. Okay, this makes sense. Or do I have this round the wrong way? I think I have it round the wrong way. Because if velocity is on, we want to use the actual depth, which would involve the velocity, right? No, but this is scaling. Oh yeah, that's the thing, right? Because, oh yeah, max 9 has inlets on the clip object in Gen. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm in max 8 because max 8 is going to be compatible with Live 11 and 12. Max 9 is only going to be compatible with Live 12, I think. But that sounds like a great improvement for sure. So when the velocity changes, because of the way that the Ableton patch is set up, like this is already being played at a quieter volume, which means that the RM input to begin with is already quieter. And that's why we don't need to scale the depth the same way, but we do need to scale the pre-fade. What am I calling this? Yeah, the little fade at the front of the smoothing. I don't know, let's just try reverse this and see what happens. Yeah, okay, yeah, so that just made the actual RM input a lot less deep. It's like half the depth now, which indicates that it's being scaled twice, which is exactly what I was saying. So that's why it's set like this. But the fade at the front was good. So what if let's take our little output probe here and okay, what if I move if I just bypass this minimum thingy and then I almost need like a copy of this just to test this out. This is really like just move this comment out of the way. I try to comment stuff so I remember what the hell's going on, but then I don't read the comments. Nice. I just copy all this and then send the curve to that. That's bypassed. So what does this look like? Still not the same. Oh, probably because the depth, it needs to use the actual depth. So if I just take the actual depth, I don't need any of this junk because, oh, do I? Maybe I do. Still there. What if this was reversed then? Yeah, okay. That's it. That's one of the bugs. kind of being fixed there. So why does that work? It works, but why? Because the depth, the actual depth, not the raw depth right now is set to 0, so all the way deep, right? But the actual depth involves the velocity. So actually, I don't think we need this velocity state thing at all. I think we just need to shove the depth into these two little objects here. And yeah, that's working. Okay, so we're scaling the pre-fade, the smooth pre-fade with velocity. Oh, what's going on with this grid size, bro? No. Okay. There we go. So we need to do that first. And then we need to figure out how to deal with this next. But this is working. This is good. We fixed one bug already. So maybe I'll just write a quick note here. Yeah, that should do. Now, how to deal with the other bug, which is... Okay, look at that. Let me zoom in. Where's my zooming? Oh, my scope isn't going to zoom. I'll just zoom it manually. There we go. Okay. Yeah, so it's pushing below where it should be. This is a tricky one to solve. Progress, hell yeah. Yeah, at least we have that one bug fixed. We need to clip. We need to know where to clip it and then clip it at a different amount. Oh man. But I don't think you can. Maybe I need to do this outside of the gen patch. I mean, I know I can. I know I could. But we can't use a scale because that doesn't dynamically change. My operators, I've got like plus, minus, multiply. I don't think adding a number would help at all because that doesn't really... This is a tricky one. Oh shit. I don't think I can use like... Okay, what's my depth at? 0.47. Okay, so just to prove that this would work, that's essentially what we need to do, right? Oh, something along those lines anyway. That doesn't quite seem to be in the right spot though. It almost is. Okay, yeah, and that would be too much. So, okay, what's my depth again? Yeah, 0.47. So how come clipping this to 0.47 doesn't line up? Oh, because it's been scaled again here. Okay. So, just want to make sure that I know how this should be fixed. So if I clip this down here, no? Really? Use the output of the first window to automatically adjust the second. I'm not really sure what you mean by that. Shouldn't that be the same clipping value? Let me just... Okay. Yeah, it is. It's a different beast for sure. Basically, like, audio is just numbers, right? A 0 is silence, a 1 is a waveform that goes above the middle line, a -1 is below. And so you can manipulate waveforms just with simple math, like multiplying, dividing, addition, and that sort of thing. And that's basically how all this works. I take the input, the RM input, and I make all of the negative numbers positive numbers. That's why the waveform looks like this, where it's all going in one direction. The center line is actually there, and a lot of these bumps should be the other side of the sine wave, you know, but I'm flipping them. And then if you take a signal and multiply it by something that has sections that are less than 1, but otherwise 1, you'll end up doing a gain reduction on that signal. So that's the core of how this all works. It's just kind of math, but it can be a little tricky. Okay, smooth. No. If smooth is 0, then output 1. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, okay. Just making sure this still works. So yeah, it's supposed to be a fade that comes in from the left like that. And I'm building this curve using this math in here. Multiplying, dividing, whatever. It's like, you know, back in high school when you had to like plot curves on a graph. It's kind of like that, where you take like the square, like x squared times y squared or some shit. I don't know. I kind of just copied this out of a book. Hey, I'm live streaming right now. It does get pretty complicated. So okay, how about this? Let's turn velocity off. All right, that goes all the way to You know what? I'm going to set the range of this scope from 0 to 1 so that we know that's all the way at the bottom, right? Curves up. Okay. Velocity on. And if we change the velocity to max, it's still at the bottom. All right. And if we change the velocity to 1, it's right at the top. And what about 0? Yeah, okay, that's the minimum value. And then the middle should be somewhere in the middle. Well, this is like it's an exponential scale. So yeah, okay. This is good. This is working now. Yeah, thanks a lot, Senpai. Now I've got to fix this shit. Senpai is the person who found this bug. So this part of the bug is fixed, Senpai, where the curvy part at the front of the smooth line, that is now fixed. But increasing the RM above 100% still pushes the RM line below the velocity, like below the shape. So I'm just thinking here, maybe I can use, so this depth comes in as a number from, it comes in as a number from 0 to 200, and then I'm dividing it by 100. So that gives us a number from between 0 and 2, right? So what I could say maybe is, you know, like if it's above 100, like if it's above 1, then do something to clip it at a different level or something like that. Because what's happening here is, just so everyone watching knows how this scaling works. The number 1 is being minused by whatever is coming here. So imagine the RM is set to, say, 70%, which would be 0.7. So it'd be 1 minus 0.7, and that's being added to the signal. And 0.7 is also being multiplied by the signal. So like, look at this. So see how it kind of starts. Oh, I need to zoom out probably. Yeah, so we can scale it down, but then the top isn't 1 anymore. So I need to basically add this number to push it back up to the top, like that. But how do we use that to our advantage? Shit. This is really, really tricky. I thought this would be easy. Like, it would be easy if I could just dynamically change the clip. But then when I was testing this, like, hang on. Okay, the clip is 0.54 now. I gotta try this again here. Yep. What if we go like this? No, wait. These need to go into a minimum. This minimum object just looks for the lowest possible number and then outputs that. Isn't that weird? Shouldn't that be the same? It's a little bit too short. Yeah, like it should be there, but that's not the same value. I think this might have something to do, like if we can figure this out. Okay, what if I take this? Like, I don't get that. The MIDI velocity is 100. It's converting decibels to a linear value, which is 0.54. And then this is our raw depth. I gotta read the chat. Maybe there's some, maybe people have figured it out. Yeah, this is a good live debugging set. Well, it'll be good if I can figure it out. Okay, really? Oh, if you define, oh my gosh. Okay, okay. All right. Maybe that's the, all right. If I write 0 and 1 here, then I'm not able to dynamically change it. But if it's just a clip object, oh my God. Okay, okay. Well, that helps. That should make it easier to fix. All right, thanks for that. Okay. So, in a perfect world here, this depth would make it right. So we take the depth we want as the minimum, and then the maximum we just want to be 1. And I can just use an F object like this, F1. And then that's just like shove a 1 in there forever, right? So then I should be able to just go like this. Okay. I'm changing the depth, and that's also changing where it's being clipped, which, yeah, I think that makes sense. And if the velocity changes, maybe we should get a MIDI clip in here that has like different velocities. I'll go like 100 and then 70 or something. And then I can turn this off. Does that make sense? Sort of. That sort of makes sense. It looks a little strange. Shouldn't it be clipped the same amount for both velocities? Like here it's clipped a lot, and then the lower velocity it's not clipped as much. I think this is going to be the way we fix it, but before we get into that, I need to figure out why I can't clip the number at the exact depth and have it line up with the curve here. So I'll just put this back on. So we're playing velocity of 80. Yeah. Okay, velocity of 80. I just want to make sure this is all right. Velocity of 80. That comes in, and we get, yeah, so velocity of 80 is it's being minus by 70, and then we get a 10. That's because of how the volume to velocity scale works. It's at 50%. So 0.34. So that depth will change if I change my velocity sensitivity. Just double check. Yeah, okay. Okay. Think about this, Slynk. Yeah. Trying to fix this bug. I got investors to appease now. Right. Kind of lost my train of thought there, but okay. So why doesn't this work? That's what I want to know. So forget about this, because this is, well, this is this scaling area is scaling the RM input by, yeah, here. If the velocity state is true, we want to use the raw depth. This ignores velocity scaling because velocity should scale the RM input anyway, which makes sense. Do we ever need to scale the RM otherwise? Like, I don't understand why I have this switch in here. Shouldn't it just always be scaled by the actual depth? So right now it's true, so we're scaling by the raw depth. Otherwise, it will be, oh no, that's true, that's true. So if it's false, yeah. If velocity state is off, then we want to scale the RM according to the actual depth here. So this makes sense. When do we clip this then? After that? Or before it? I don't think we need this clip, because we're clipping it here. Maybe this is where we need to clip dynamically. Like if I go in here, and then we probably don't need this clip here. Does that still look like it's off though? Maybe, maybe not. I'm gonna zoom in a bit more here. It looks like the pre-fade is starting there. Let's turn smoothing down. Yeah, the pre-fade starts a little higher for some reason. I don't understand. Maybe the fade is not going from 0 to 1 or something. Like the actual fade, no, it does. It goes from 0 to 1. Yeah, I'm rescaling it from -1 to 1 to 0 to 1. So that's all good. Yeah, I'll make a video where I actually make this more of a tutorial, but we're just bug fixing this. So we have a 0 to 1 curve here, and then that's being scaled with the depth. Yeah, this all looks correct. Our depth is this number, which is currently 0.34. Our scope has a range of 0 to 1. So 0.34 is here, apparently. And then it's scaled. So this should be, that should be not 0.34. It should be 1 minus 0.34. So, 0.7 or whatever. Oh. That's why clipping this like this doesn't work. Okay. I got it. So we take this depth, then we take the number 1 and minus the depth from that number 1. Then we say that's the bottom, right? And we give it a 1 for the top always. And when we clip that, it should line up with the curve here. Yeah, that's the fucking ticket right there. Okay. So, forget that shit. So then, if we clip it and then just shove it into here, does that work? Oh. No, that doesn't work. Of course not. Damn it. Okay, so something is changing this. I think, yeah, we almost have it. Can you explain again? Fade start was higher than it should have been. Yeah, so I guess the easiest way to explain this is to kind of just start from the start. This little fade here is a result of the smoothing control being increased. So the idea with that is not only are we using what are we doing? There's smoothing settings here somewhere. I forget now. Slide. Yeah, I think it's the slide. Yeah, smooth. So the slide makes it so that you can't have changes too rapidly. So if a number tries to go from one number to another number too fast, the slide will say, no, you got to slow that shit down. That's basically how the smoothing control works. But on top of that, I also add a fade at the front. which gets larger the higher the smoothing value. So that needs to be scaled so that this smoothing curve begins at the same like height or depth, I guess, as the velocity. So, and then, so that was the one big bug fix that we just figured out. We've got that sorted. It's being scaled correctly. So the other part of this was when I push the RM, this isn't updating at all now. Uh-oh, did I fucking break it? Oh yeah, I did. Okay. Yeah, the other part of the bug here is, let me zoom in a little bit more. When I increase the depth of the RM beyond 100%, the RM pushes down below this shape, which shouldn't really happen. The shape should be the bottom. And if the shape isn't at the bottom, yeah, the RM can push through it, but it shouldn't push down below the shape, right? So that was the other part of the bug that we need to fix. And I believe we have just figured that out. So the part now that we're trying to figure out is we need the bottom of the shape here, which is here. We need the RM to never go past that point. And if it does, like go down to here, there's something wrong, right? So right now, this is working. So you can see the RM smoothing pre-fade here, and then there's a very clear like clipping line right there. So we also just need to tie in the rest of the scaling that's important, like all this other shit here. So the RM depth, so if I go down to here, for example, yeah, that works. This clip is probably not needed. And then it breaks once we tie in from here. No, it doesn't. I thought it was broken. Oh, okay. I guess. Oh, okay. I guess it's all good then. I think we figured it out. So, we don't need that clip. Maybe we'll put a clip up here just for safety, because if someone runs a kick drum that's too hot, like, you know, that's already peaking into the plugin, then it's going to look like it's broken. So we'll put a clip in here. Right, which doesn't break anything. Good. Then we don't need this clip because it's for sure being clipped here. Maybe we should clip after the smoothing. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, let's clip here. Okay. We don't need this clip. And the pre-fade comes in and gets added on after everything else has been changed. Yeah, this is all working good now. Now hang on, if I turn velocity sensitivity off, oh, is that right? Oh yeah, that's right, because if velocity sensitivity is off, then we're probably playing this node at full volume. no, wait a minute. That's not playing at full volume. It would be like this. Oh. Yeah, that's right, that's right. Okay. We haven't fixed this yet. Okay, I'm pretty sure this is working. So let me just put that back to negative 11.4 and that's all good. Thanks for believing in me, bro. I appreciate it. So we'll turn velocity on again and yeah, all right. I think we got it. So this happens here. Scale the RM with the RM depth. That still works. Yeah, that's just getting hella clipped. Let me zoom out so I can see the whole kick drum here. Yeah, so that's getting hella over gained and then clipped, which is what we wanted. Yeah. Now that's another interesting thing to think about too. If the RM is less than 100%, then this pre-fade isn't going to be matching up. So this pre-fade assumes that it's 100% or beyond, but not the other way around. So we kind of need both. Okay, this is, I'm fine. I just found another bug, I guess. We need the pre-fade curve to be scaled by the depth and the RM depth. So the depth here involves the velocity and stuff as well, but maybe we can say like if it's 1 or below, then scale it. Or ignore everything above. Ignore everything above 1, maybe, because if the RM is above 1, if we were scaling this to be twice as big, you know, then it would push it down. Yeah, so if we say something like, well, we can just use a clip actually. Clip 0 to 1, right? And we just take this. Actually, we have a 0.7 coming in here. Yeah, we want to take this number and then use that to scale this down here. I got to move things around so it's not so confusing. Yeah, well, multiplying has, it kind of works differently in audio. Like, it's weird because sometimes you think you need to add things together, but really you need to multiply them. And then other times you think you need to multiply them and you really need to add them. And it's because of the negative numbers involved with audio signals when it goes above the center line and below the center line. But anyway, so we clip the depth and then we need to scale this. So I've just been using like this little setup to scale things with. So if I take the thing I want to scale and put it in here, and then I use this to do the scaling, then the output is this. Did we break everything? Yes, we did. Okay, so maybe we take this one? Yeah. Okay, because we're doing the -1 here anyway. All right. So that means that did we fix it? I think we did, because if this is being tied in here, it's too low. Yeah. Because it's not being shaped, it's not being scaled. So now with this extra scaling step, it's correct. Yeah. I think we got it. So that's fixed. So then we just need to apply our changes. So right now we're just taking a branch off and then sending it to this testing output. But we should be able to send the output of this minimum object over here into this delay, which should make everything work. Let's try. Yep, so this is the shape now. So if I push the RM beyond 100%, yeah, you can see it's just getting clipped and it never goes below that line anymore. And smoothing, it does the smoothing. Yeah, I think we fixed it. That's pretty cool. Now drive the RM all the way down and look all the way up and see how the scope looks. Yeah, that's kind of what we were just doing. So with no RM, that looks right. Yeah, I think we fixed it. Yeah, that's great. So is there any way to like do this in a less dumb way? Like try to make it a little bit more efficient. I feel like there's probably some way to adjust this. Okay, let's comment things so we remember what's happening. Scale this, hang on a minute. We want to scale the smoothing pre-fade. I can't remember why, but that's why we do it. That's what we're doing essentially. Oh, you thought it was written in C++? What? Dude, I'm a music producer. I'm not a friggin' computer scientist. I just wrote this tool because I wanted to use it, really. I was sick of other sidechain plugins, and I think I just wanted to make my own like dream sidechainer, basically. Let's make this look a little nicer, shall we? I guess this is a good time to hit me up with any questions you have. And I can answer some questions. While I just tidy this up a little bit. I just want to make it look somewhat presentable. Does it work off MIDI only or audio sidechain possible as well? It doesn't have an audio trigger, so technically the RM will work, but it needs an audio trigger to do the look ahead stuff. And if your scope is in snapshot mode, it uses the MIDI trigger to update the snapshot. So yeah, if you don't use an audio, duck call still works. It may be missing triggers. It's not the most accurate at converting audio signals into MIDI triggers. But it does work, sort of. Okay, the last thing we need to do is just kind of reset things here so that when we save it and people load it up, it's not like all weird. Yeah, so these are default settings. Oh, I think I have this set like this initially. We'll just freeze the device and save. And then let's exit out of Max and make sure that the bug fixes that we just did actually work, shall we? Let's go back into snapshot mode, turn velocity on. If we push the RM beyond, it just gets clipped. Let's get the MIDI notes moving around a bit. That's perfect. That is perfect. Okay, and then smoothing. Yeah, I think we fixed it. Okay, I gotta increase the text size so I can read the chat here. How many hours did it take you to build version 2? It took me about 200 hours. Yeah, about 200 hours. RM stands for ring modulation. Basically, all that's happening, I can actually show you if you like what RM actually is. Because it wasn't too long after I first heard about ring modulation sidechain that it was like 30 seconds where I was like, oh, I know how to do that in MaxForLive. Like I just had to know what the concept was. And then I was like, oh, I know exactly how to make that happen. Let me show you guys actually. It's kind of cool. So let's open this back up. And whoop. Trying to go into here, yeah. I'm just going to steal this scope again. So, look at this. Let's go to click on there. So if I take the input, the RM input, let's set the scope to -1 to 1. So now the scope is just like acting like an actual scope, right? Where you see the positive and negative parts of the audio signal. Let's make this a bit bigger, shall we? So if I take the absolute value of that, which if you don't know what that means, it means that I take all of the negative numbers and make them positive. Look at that, right? And then if I multiply that by -1, we can flip it upside down, right? And then if I take this signal and say, what do I want to do? I want to take the number 1. Wait a minute. Is that right? Oh, I can't remember. Oh, what am I saying? It needs to be like this. Hang on a minute. Yeah, this one. want to take the number 1 and minus whatever is coming in here, I think. Well, hang on, do I do that first? So take this out of here. Yeah. We don't need to multiply it. Yeah, so we take the number 1 and then minus whatever is coming in here. And that gives us numbers that go from 0 to 1, right? Now, if I take the baseline signal, which is this, and then I got to give this a click as well, so it does like the snapshot mode thing. Let's get another scope here to see the result. Click that. So if I take, let's move this over here like this. So the signal coming out of here is this. And if I just multiply this and this together, then we get this. And that's essentially ring modulation sidechain. So this is a series of numbers, and when those numbers are below 1, you know, obviously if you multiply something by 0, then it's 0. So when the waveform is down here close to 0, you're effectively turning the signal off, making it silent. And anywhere between there and 1, it's a bit quieter. If I multiply a number by 0.5, it'll be half, right? So that's essentially how ring modulation sidechain works. Very long explanation, but that's what RM stands for, and that's how it's created. I'm using both MIDI and audio triggering. If DuckBuddy has audio and MIDI triggering, that would be bonkers. Yeah, I didn't bother adding audio triggering to DuckBuddy because if you're already triggering the drum sound with a MIDI note, then why do you need the audio trigger as well? It doesn't really make sense to me. And to those people that do their drums in audio, I would strongly suggest not to do that because it's just a bad workflow. Anyway, I want to show you guys something else. A lot of people on my YouTube channel about DuckBuddy on the video, they were saying, "Oh, it's so cool, but I wish it was multiband." And it's like, dude, just make it multiband yourself. So you can just stick it in a rack, right? And if I put an EQ3 here, actually, let's take this out of the rack. We'll make the rack first. This is how you make the best frequency split rack in Ableton. All right. It's so fucking easy. You put an EQ3 in a rack, then you macro these things, right? So we've got the slope to go from 24 to 48, and we've got the high and frequent and low frequencies. Then we'll just duplicate this twice, and we'll call this, you know, high. I'm sure you've seen people do this before. Mid and low. And on the low, we'll just mute these ones. On the mid, we'll mute these ones. And on the high, we'll mute these ones. And then just put 3 DuckBuddies in there. And you've got multiband DuckBuddy. And you can change the splits and whatever. Like I could have built this functionality into DuckBuddy, but to multiply all of the controls by 3 and just have like, I don't know how I would even do that, some switch somewhere that just changes to a whole different page of unique settings. It just didn't seem like it was going to make the plugin very clean, especially when it's so easy to make literally anything multiband in Ableton with an audio effects rack. Like you know, I don't understand why people need multiband to be in the actual plugin itself when you can make anything you want multiband just like this. And if you're sick of making this rack over and over again, you know, just make the rack once like this, clean it up, make it all nice, call it, you know, split rack, and then just save it in your user library. Just drag it in there. I already have one. Right? So yeah, a lot of people have been, even on the Duck Buddy 1 video when I first put that out, I was just saying the same thing over and over again. Just make your own frequency split rack. It's not that hard. What's the point when Ableton is basically made to rack things? Yeah, exactly. Does that 3EQ split cause any artifacts? No. Artifacts, no. The thing about like phase, people are very worried about, what's it called? Just like phasing issues and things going out of phase. Look, this is going to be fine because on each band we have the same EQ, right? Effectively. What you want to avoid and what will run into phase issues is doing some bullshit like this, where you have an EQ doing something, right? And then you rack that, and on another chain, you're doing something else. And this is going to be bad because the EQ is introducing phase changes. So every EQ point, there's a phase flip. And if you play that in parallel with another signal that doesn't have the same phase flipping in the same spots, then that's when you get phasing issues, because there's a difference in phase. But if the phase remains consistent across the sound, then it doesn't fucking matter. Like this split rack, it's 3 EQs, 3 EQ3s, and they're all in parallel, but they're all set up exactly the same because the low frequency is mapped. So every time I'd move the low, it'll be moving on all 3, right? So, you know, this is something to avoid. All right, hopefully that makes sense. This is not going to cause any artifacts. Okay. I wish Ableton would just add a frequency splitter to the chain selector already. I mean, that would be convenient, but this is so convenient already. I don't know how much more convenient it needs to get. And just a side note, personally, I have never run into a situation where I thought, geez, I really need to do some multiband sidechaining here. Like, I've just literally never used multiband sidechaining because I've never needed to. And every time I try it, which has been like not very many times, but every time I've tried it, it just sounds like shit. It doesn't make any sense to even frequency split stuff. I mean, it depends on the content, but like what we're listening to right now, let me turn this down. This might be loud. Like a kick drum is basically every frequency in the spectrum. Snare drum, like kick drum, look at this. The transient and then the boom. It's almost every frequency in the spectrum. Snare drum, okay, maybe there's a little less like sub and whatever, but that's about it. So whatever you're sidechaining, if that also has like basically every frequency in the spectrum, for example, like a big growly bass or whatever, like, you know, if this bass was like, like look at this. This is, okay, there's not as much highs, but the difference is almost, negligible, right? It doesn't make any sense to split this sound into several bands and then sidechain each band separately. And it's all over so quick you don't even notice it. Like, we're talking the kick drum I would recommend you all do this. Like, kick drums shouldn't be really any longer than 150 milliseconds, so that you can get back to the bass line faster. If your kick drum is like 300, 400 milliseconds, you're just doing music production wrong, right? Ask fucking Deadmau5. He's got that popular video where he's just like roasting this producer for having kick drums that are too long. And it's true. You just get me back to the bass line as quick as possible, right? So, if your kick drum is 100 milliseconds and it tapers away towards the end of the kick drum, like, we're talking 50 to 60 milliseconds of complete silence on the bass line, and then we're back to full bass line. And it doesn't make any sense to like multiband that at all. But if you have to, then use a split rack. Oh my God. Anyway. Yeah. And yeah, I guess that's the other part of it, is that it sounds better to just sidechain everything together, all the frequencies together. And it sounds weird to have the bass line, for example, like, let's say the kick drum is mostly a boomy bass kick, and my bass line is a full frequency bass line with sub and high content and everything. If I'm just dropping the low content, then I just have a section in time where the bass line just sounds sort of tinny and weird, and it just doesn't sound that good. It doesn't sound good, in my opinion. I mean, music is subjective, right? Also, if someone wanted multiband Duck Buddy, what do I do to learn MaxForLive? Yeah, make the thing you want, right? If you want multiband Duck Buddy, then make it yourself. You can try to figure out how to make this GUI, like triple the GUI control here. I did think about it. Like, I thought, people are gonna want to have a multiband Duck Buddy, and maybe in the future I will build just like 2 bands. I think 3 bands is massively overkill, but 2 bands, what I think would be interesting is if the bands split the RM input as well. So if you have a kick drum as an RM input coming into Duck Buddy, that kick drum is then frequency split from the subby section of the kick drum and the high part of the kick drum, and then those different parts of the RM are then applied to the different parts of your bass line, right? That would be interesting. And so, but 3 bands is ridiculous. 2 bands maybe. So maybe in a future update or something, I'll add multiband. But yeah, it could be cool. But like I said, I don't think it's really needed. I don't think it's really needed. Yeah, ducking the whole sound makes more sense. It does. I'm trying to think of the other questions I was getting on my YouTube video. Mostly people were just asking about frequency splitting. But there was some people that were asking more like basic questions, like, how is this different to a Ableton compressor? And I kind of covered all that in my Duck Buddy 1 video. It's called LFO Till Sucks, so we made my dream sidechain. You can look it up on my YouTube channel and watch that video where I talk about the compressor, the Ableton compressor, and traditional sidechain compression, and why this also sucks. It's not that bad, and you can get around the suckiness of it by doing some hacks and stuff. And that's how I've been sidechaining for years. But yeah, DuckBuddy just makes it a lot easier. Yeah, I got a proper rant in that one. I hear so much of the same stuff over and over again. And there's a lot of people on YouTube just saying stuff that isn't actually true. Actually, I just remembered one other comment that I got on YouTube. Someone was saying that, oh, what about PDC, plug-in delay compensation, and MIDI, and how it's going to make it inaccurate, right? So come along with me while we prove that comment completely wrong. If I take a Pro Q, and put that here in front of my baseline and just set it to like super dumb, like maximum 360 millisecond latency mode, right? Okay, we got hella lag now. So, oh no, there's going to be plug-in delay compensation issues, right? No. Let's solo this bus, which has the drum rack and the donk bass going into it. Right. Hang on. What's going on with my routing? I forget now. Oh, wait. What is going on with my routing? I don't know. Can I record that? Yeah. Okay. Look at this. Let's just record the bass line. Oh yeah. And I'm only sidechaining from the kick. Let's just set this back to the whole drum rack. All right, so if PDC was a problem, then we should be seeing some kind of issue here where the kick drum doesn't line up with the actual sidechain moment, and it should be late or something, right? It should be inaccurate. But as you can see, I would be ignoring this because I'm also live streaming and recording in Ableton. Resampling isn't perfectly sample accurate either. But if I rendered out the result of the donk bass playing, then you'll see that there's absolutely no issues with plugin delay compensation. And that's because on DuckBuddy itself, when I select a channel to listen to, I'm selecting a channel that has already been delay compensated. So this donk bass channel is reporting to Ableton that the Pro Q is causing shitloads of latency, and that's causing all of my other channels in my project to be delayed by the same amount. That's what delay compensation is, right? So when I select the channel to listen to in DuckBuddy, I'm selecting something which is a channel that has been delay compensated. So there's no mismatch here between a delay compensated channel and an undelay compensated channel. Everything lines up perfectly and it's totally fine. So, you know, it might be different if the Pro Q was on the other side. No, I don't think it would be. I think it would still be fine. Yeah, it's still fine because the channel is still reporting the latency. This is still being compensated for, and then DuckBuddy is listening to this channel and everything is lining up. So I did think about plugin delay compensation and if that would be a problem. It's just not a problem. It's only really a problem when there's latency being induced somewhere in between. Like the main example is using a hella delay, a super delayed latency thing here, and then doing something that's supposed to be like tempo synced, like an auto pan, like this. You know, this is not going to be quarter notes anymore. I don't think. Yeah. Like that's not quarter notes, right? This is some other dumb shit, right? So that is an example of plugin delay compensation, PDC, being a problem. But if I do this the other way around, it's fine. See? So if you're using something on a channel that is relying on, tempo sync, then you don't really want to be doing latency induced plugin stuff before that, right? And you just need to be aware of that. I mean, yeah, I feel like Ableton could possibly fix this, but it sounds like it would be really difficult to fix. But yeah, it's not a problem with DuckBuddy. Unless, of course, for some reason I have a tempo synced plugin after my DuckBuddy, which is causing latency. Now this quarter note thing is going to be, let's just like not duck at all. Now this quarter note thing is going to be a couple milliseconds early or late or something. It's hard to tell because the maximum look ahead is 15 milliseconds, and resampling in Ableton is not sample perfect. It's kind of close. Yeah, you can see it's a little bit like off maybe. So let's delete DuckBuddy and see now. Yeah. But like just do your DuckBuddy after, and then it's fine, right? Okay. PDC, it's not a problem unless you do it wrong, okay? Could you use DuckBuddy for sidechaining while live finger drumming? Yeah, absolutely. I don't see why not. I would be setting the lookahead to 0 or 2, like as low as possible that you can get away with, because it does add latency to your overall project if you use lookahead. But the lookahead is there to just avoid clicks, and I've found that clicks not only sound bad, but they also cause an unnecessary peak. For example, let's just set this to this, and I don't know why I can't like solo this channel, but anyway. What's going on here? I don't know what's happening here. My routing's all messed up. Let's delete this pro queue because my whole project is lagging like crazy. Okay. Let's do a little test here together. I'll just make a new bus channel. I don't know what was going on with that other one. So, turn the kicks and snares back on. So right now that's peaking because, why is that peaking? Let's start again with a new DuckBuddy. Okay, we'll choose the drum rack, post effects, and the audio signal post effects. So it's peaking a little bit, but it shouldn't be. And you'll see if I set this to any amount of look ahead, peaking is completely gone. So 0 milliseconds, it peaks a little bit. And I think that's because the signal is rapidly changing in volume from max volume to negative infinity in, you know, a blink of an eye, right? Faster than that. And that is causing, you know, one corner of a square wave almost, and that's introducing some harmonics, which are kind of, you know, it's probably like, this peak is probably something to do with like anti-aliasing or something. But, you know, if this peak is not an issue really, I mean, I could just stick a limiter on there or something, or just a clipper. Actually, a clipper, in the case of like live performing, a clipper would be your best option. In this case, I would just stick like a saturator on there and just set it to like hard clip, and just like digital clip. And that tiny click that you got without any look ahead is removed. So this is a 0 latency project at the moment. What other questions do we have here? I think MIDI triggering latency issue is, hang on. I think MIDI triggering latency issues is a solved issue. Audio delay / transport issues still exist, but I think that only affects a very specific thing. Okay. Sometimes volume change. Yeah, the clicks aren't an issue. Yeah, I'm of the same opinion as well, because the transient of my kick drum fucking looks like this. So if there's a big square wave corner at the beginning of that, it doesn't really matter. Like listening to the bass line on its own, I can hear that click, right? But in the context of the whole song, I can't hear the click, so does it even matter? I don't think so. Unless I'm sidechaining this donk bass and not playing the kick drums, then you would hear the click and it would sound weird. So I don't know why you would be doing that, but yeah. I've found like for most of the time when I'm using Duck Buddy myself in my own projects, I'll just set the look ahead to 2 and it's fucking great. It's good, which is way lower. And the other thing that I really love about Duck Buddy is I don't necessarily need 2 Duck Buddies, one for the kick and one for the snare, because as I showed in the video, I only really, let me just mute the signal here. You only really need to like draw a shape that covers the bulk of the sound, and then you just let the RM cover like the details, and it works great. Like this sounds so good, and I'm sidechaining with like 100% accuracy to my kick and my snare with one Duck Buddy, causing only 2 milliseconds of latency in my project rather than 2 Duck Buddies, which could cause 2 and then another 2, so 4 milliseconds of latency. And you know, there's another argument where I could create Duck Buddy to take 2 separate MIDI inputs, 2 separate RM inputs, and do all of the ducking for 2 different sounds in one plugin, causing only one set of look ahead latency amounts. But again, that's like duplicating all the controls, and it would make the GUI not as clean. And I did think about it, but then I was like, yo, I can just do a basic shape like this and then just call it a day, and it works great. So yeah, that's one thing that is improved over my previous method of, where is it? Yeah. My previous method of sidechaining was like this. I guess I've explained this in my other like DuckBuddy 1 video, but basically, and that you can get this sidechain set up in my Essential Ableton Toolbox, which is on my website, slynk.net. Anyway, the best way to do this kind of sidechaining is to tell the sidechain channel to listen to the MIDI notes that are happening. Hang on a minute. Yeah, that are happening on the drum rack. And then, so now any notes that happen here also happen here on this channel and in this drum rack. And on these cells, we've got 1 millisecond of noise playing at exactly 0. What the oh, right. It's playing exactly 1 millisecond of noise at 0 dB. And these compressors are routed to those. But yeah, I can only choose between 1 millisecond or 10 milliseconds of latency or look ahead for these Ableton compressors, which doesn't really like, I wish there was like 5 or something there, you know. So it's not enough with 1 and it's too much really with 10, but what can you do? And you kind of need 2 because you want to have different release times. So this is causing 20 milliseconds of latency in my project. And then this here is also causing another 20 milliseconds of latency. So just having this channel in my project, I now have 40 milliseconds of latency, which sucks. But with just DuckBuddy, I've got 2 milliseconds of latency and I'm sidechaining both kick and snare with one plugin. So it's a bit better. I explained my whole old style of sidechain setup a lot better in my DuckBuddy 1 video. Good to see you're still active. Well, I'm not really. This is the first time I've live streamed in 8 years, so I can't really say that I'm still active. But yeah, I think this is probably a good time to end the stream. We fixed the bug, so I've got to get on Gumroad and upload the new version and email everyone about it, and that's gonna suck. Sorry for the emails. But yeah, thanks Senpai for testing that out and finding that bug. I appreciate it. Where on your site is that sidechain set up again? Go to slynk.net and then go to, what is it, the store? Let me just look it up. Go to slynk.net and then click shop. You can go to all products or Ableton stuff, and it's in my Essential Ableton Toolbox, which is being sold for 10 Canadian dollars. There's a few other things in there as well, like these little bass sounds, some effects, my old Haas polarity widener, which has been mostly replaced, for me at least, by my new expander plugin, which essentially does the same thing as the Haas polarity widener rack, but it does it better because it uses all pass filters and shit. Anyway, I don't want to get into it. And yeah, there's some other handy things in here, like, you know, the washout effect, and what else is in here? Got these frequency splits. I guess these are my old splits where I'm using the multiband dynamics to do the splitting. There's nothing wrong with this method, but it's not as sharp of a curve. With EQ3s, you have the choice between 24 and 48 dB per octave roll-offs on those splits. So I believe the multiband dynamics frequency splits have like a roll off of like, I want to say 12 dB per octave. So it's not as like tight. It's not as like defined, I guess. 48 isn't that insane. I mean, it sounds like a lot, but there's an EQ here. 48 is this. That's 48 dB per octave. How do I know that? Because I read the freaking manual. Look, it choose between 48 or 12 dB per octave. So this is 48 dB per octave. This is 48, this is 12. It says it right there in the info box, right? So yeah, obviously having a cut like this is a bit more useful, I think. So that's why I do my frequency split racks with EQ3 now. Yeah. Cool. Okay, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully this stream was interesting. I'm gonna eventually do a video where I open up DocBuddy and explain to you what's actually happening in there. Oh, sorry, Jesse, if you missed that. The reason I use EQ3s for frequency split racks is because of the 48 or 24 dB per octave cut, whereas a lot of people, and I used to as well, use the multiband dynamics to do a frequency split, but the splits are 12 dB per octave, I think. Maybe even, yeah, they're probably 12 dB per octave. So it's not as sharp. That was the, yeah. How long did it take for you to become comfortable with MaxForLive? I don't know, like 2 or 3 years. Just using it as a hobby. There's a couple of things that I wish I knew when I started that have been really helpful. Like just I guess I can show you. I was going to end the stream, but I'll just show you really quick. There's like just a couple of things that really make learning MaxForLive a bit easier. For one, in this debug menu, you can turn on these things, event probe and signal probe, and I would highly recommend doing that, because that means that when you put your mouse over a cable, you get a little pop-up to show what is happening on that cable. Like right here, I can see that the word output value has been sent through this cable to here, but here there's been no data that went through this cable yet until I click this button, and now it says the word copy, right? It's just easy to debug things. The other thing that I wish I knew when I started with MaxForLive is clicking this little green arrow on things. So if I grab an object that I'm not very familiar with, like, I don't know, delta clip, sure. What does delta clip do? I can't really remember, but I can click this green arrow and I can mouse over the messages and see all the different types of messages that it can accept on other things, like let's say like a live.dial, which is just a knob basically. I can see all the attributes here and what they do. So the active dial color is blue, you know, that's this color. So if I wanted to change that color, I could say in a message, active dial color, let's see, LCD handle, and boom, now it's orange, right? So it makes it easy to figure out what things are called and how to change them. The other thing is, like, clicking on this green arrow here, I can go to the help file, and this is amazing. Like, all of the help files in MaxForLive are just so valuable, and there's always like a bunch of different examples depending on the object, and you can, you know, like look, it shows the active dial color thing here and it explains it all. And then on the right side, it tells you what happens when you send it certain messages. Like if I send the word assign to the dial, the word assign followed by a number causes the value to be displayed. You know, that simple, right? And that number is sent out of the object's outlet. So yeah, that's good information, you know. And then there's also this, right? Like down the bottom here, see also live numbox. Oh, I didn't know that object existed. Let me open that thing up and see how this works. Oh, okay, it's like a dial, but it's a different style, you know. And this is like basically how I learned how to use MaxForLive. That combined with just asking people on the MaxForLive Discord server, which is full of really talented people. Yeah, but I've just kind of been like chipping away at different projects here and there in my spare time for the last like 2 or 3 years, and now I find myself pretty comfortable in MaxForLive. There is one other thing that can often be confusing for new people who are new to MaxForLive, and that's like, let's see if I can demonstrate this. If I take a plus object, right, and I'll create a message box, the result of our calculation is going to be changing what's in this message box. Okay. And I can send numbers to the message box. So let's go 1 and 2. Okay. So if I control click or command click, I guess on Mac, one of these message boxes, it will send the message out of the box and through the cable into this object. All right. So let's send the 1 in. Okay. We've got 1 plus nothing equals 1. Now let's click this button. Nothing happened. I should see a 3 here, but I don't. And that's because this message has gone into a blue inlet, which is cold. So when you send a number or send a message into a blue inlet, it doesn't actually trigger an output. Only the red inlets trigger outputs. Okay, so there's a few ways to get around this problem. I could simply reverse these so that if most of the time I'm changing this number, you know, then now it says, okay, yeah. So, you know, if this number is more important, I can swap them, right? But quite often what you need to do is use a trigger object, which is the letter T. And then the trigger object allows you to split messages into multiple messages. So I can write anything in here. I can say 2, I can say B for bang, I can say I for integer, which would be just a number without a decimal point, or F, which is a floating point number, so a decimal number, etc. So in this case, I want to first send the integer to the cool outlet, and then if I bang this red outlet, it will trigger the output. So things happen from right to left. So if I get a TBI here, I send the message into there. So the 2 comes in here, the I, which is the number, will go into there, and then it will bang the outlet. So this is 1. Let's set this to 5 now. And if I control click this, we get 6. Perfect. Because it sent the number in and then banged it to update it, right? So yeah. I guess those are all the things that I kind of wish I had a better understanding of when I first started MaxForLive. the debug thing, the help files and all that, and then the cold and hot outlets. I'm sorry, inlets. Do I have any other projects in the works? Yeah, I'm gonna probably chill on the MaxForLive stuff for a bit, but I do have some more MaxForLive device ideas, which I'll be working on the next time I get a chance. But really, I'm just working on my music projects now. I've got a lot of songs in the works and stuff. And of course, I'm still teaching music production lessons for all my students. And how am I, how am I doing today? I'm going to be doing good now that we fixed this bug. Cool. Okay. I already saved that before, right? I'm pretty sure I did. Yeah. Pretty sure I did. Duck Buddy saved today. Okay, good. I better update this on the Gumroad page and get everyone using a bug-free version. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found it interesting. Yeah. All right. Take it easy, guys. Peace.